Good morning from Recording Studio Oxford, Carl. Well, welcome to the last of our stories from Beatrix Potter. For the moment, there may be one or two, but this is also our 99th story, Carl. Tomorrow will be number 100. 100 stories, that's quite a lot since we started this journey. I'll have to think of something special for tomorrow, perhaps a Dr. Seuss or something. Anyway, this one from Beatrix Potter is the tale of Ginger and Pickles. Once upon a time there was a village shop. The name over the window was Ginger and Pickles. It was a little shop just the right size for dolls. Lucinda and Jane Doll Cook always bought their groceries at Ginger and Pickles. The counter in size was an inconvenient height for rabbits. Ginger and Pickles sold red spotty pocket handkerchiefs at penny 3 farthings. They also sold sugar and snuff and galoshes. In fact, although it was such a small shop, it sold nearly everything except a few things you would want in a hurry, like bootlaces and hairpins and mutton chops. Ginger and Pickles were the people who kept the shop. Ginger was a yellow tomcat and Pickles was a terrier. The rabbits were always a little bit afraid of Pickles. Should be afraid of Ginger, by the way. The shop was also patronized by mice, only the mice were rather afraid of Ginger. Smart. Ginger usually requested Pickles to serve them because he said it made his mouth water. I cannot bear, said he, to see them going out of the door carrying their little parcels. I've had the same feeling about rats, replied Pickles, but it would never do to eat our own customers. They would leave us and go to Tabitha Twitchit's. On the contrary, they would go nowhere, replied Ginger gloomily. Tabitha Twitchit kept the only other store in the village. She did not give credit. Ginger and Pickles gave unlimited credit. Now the meaning of credit is this. When a customer buys a bar of soap, instead of the customer pulling out a purse and paying for it, she says she will pay another time. And Pickles makes a low bow and says, with pleasure, madame, and it is written down in a book. The customers come again and again and buy in quantities in spite of being afraid of Ginger and Pickles. But there is no money in what is called the till. The customers came in crowds every day and bought quantities, especially the toffee customers. But there was always no money. They never paid for as much as a pennyworth of peppermints. But the sales were enormous, at least 10 times as large as Tabitha Twitchit's. As there was always no money, Ginger and Pickles were obliged to eat their own goods. Pickles ate dry biscuits and Ginger ate a dried haddock. They ate them by candlelight when the shop was closed. When it comes to January 1st, there was still no money, and Pickles was unable to buy a dog license. It is very unpleasant. I am afraid of the police, said Pickles. It is your own fault for being a terrier. I do not require a license, and neither does Kep, the collie dog. It is very uncomfortable, and I am afraid I shall be summoned. I have tried in vain to get a license upon credit at the post office, said Pickles. The place is full of policemen. I met one as I was coming home. Let us send in the bill again to Samuel Whiskers, Ginger. He owes us 22 shillings 9 pence for bacon. I do not believe he intends to pay at all, replied Ginger. And I feel sure that Anna Maria pockets things. Where are all the cream crackers? You've eaten them yourself, replied Ginger. Ginger and Pickles retired to the back parlour. They did the accounts. They added up sums and sums and sums. Samuel Whiskers has run up a bill as long as his tail. He has an ounce and 3/4 of snuff since October. What is 7 pounds of butter worth 103, and a stick of sealing wax and 4 matches? Send in all the bills again to everyone with comps. As replied Ginger. After a while they heard a noise in the shop, as if something had been pushed in at the door. They came out to the back parlour. There was an envelope lying at the counter and a policeman writing in a notebook. Pickles nearly had a fit. He barked and made little rushes. Bite him, spluttered Ginger behind a sugar barrel. It is only a German doll. The policeman went writing his notebook. Twice he put his pencil in his mouth, and once he dipped it in the treacle. Pickles barked till he was hoarse. But still the policeman took no notice. He had bead eyes, and his helmet was sewed on with stitches. At length, on his last little rush, Pickles found the shop was empty. The policeman disappeared, but the envelope remained. Do you think he's gone to fetch a real live policeman? I'm afraid it is a summons, said Pickles. No, replied Ginger, and opened the envelope. Its rates and taxes, 3 pounds, 19 shillings, 11 and 3/4. This is the last straw, said Pickles. Let us close up the shop. They put up the shutters and left, but they have not removed from the neighbourhood. In fact, some people wish they had gone further. Ginger is living in the warren. I do not know what occupation he pursues. He looks stout and comfortable. Pickles is at present a gamekeeper. The closing of the shop caused great inconvenience. Miss Tabitha Twitchett immediately raised the price of everything a halfpenny, and she continued to refuse to give credit. Of course, there are the tradesmen's carts, the butcher and fisherman and Timothy Baker. But a person cannot live on seed wigs and sponge cake and butter buns, not even when sponge cake is as good as Timothy's. After a time, Mr. John Dormouse and his daughter began to send peppermints and candles. But they do not keep self-fitting sixes, and it takes 5 mice to carry one 7-inch candle. Besides, the candles which they sell behave very strangely in warm weather. And Mrs. Dormouse refused to take back the ends which were brought to her with complaints. And when Mr. Dormouse was complained to, stayed in bed and would say nothing but very snug, which is not really the way to carry on a retail business. So everybody was pleased when Sally Henny sent out a printer poster to say she was going to reopen the shop. Henny's opening sale, grand cooperative jumble, pennies, penny prices, come buy, come try, come buy. The poster was really most enticing. There was a rush upon opening day. The shop was crammed with customers, and there were crowds of mice upon the biscuit canisters. Sally Henny gets rather flustered when she tries to count out change, and she insists on being paid cash, but she is quite harmless. And she has laid out a remarkable assortment of bargain. There is something to please everyone. The end. Bit of a funny one to end the story, but I think it brings together most of the characters you've learned from Beatrix Potter. And yes, I think there may be 1 or 2 stories, though I haven't hunted them down, but it being the 100th story tomorrow, I wanted to chase down something special for you. Anyway, until tomorrow on Story 100. As always, love you to pieces, Carl.